Today's story time is about Arsene Wenger, one of Arsenal's greatest ever managers who was there from 1996 until 2018. How successful was he? Where did it all go wrong? Why were fans divided about Arsene Wenger? Those answers you want to know will be in today's video. But before we get started with today's story, I need a favour of you guys. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, like the video, share the content around to help grow the channel. We've been growing recently and the grind don't stop. We have to keep on going. So a favour of mine is you subscribe if you're new, like it and share it. Very, very thankful if you do that. And without further ado, let's get started with today's story. September 1996. Arsenal announced their new manager, Arsene Wenger. The Frenchman at the time signed a 3-year contract worth £2 million a year. He came from a Japanese club which I don't know how to pronounce, and at the time I never heard of them and I still don't know who they are now. But at the time, regarding Arsene Wenger, people didn't know who he was, an unknown Frenchman. And people said, and one of them, including Ian Wright, said, Arsene who? That was everywhere in the tabloids of who their new manager was. But at the time, they did not know his ability as a manager. So, in that season for Arsenal, they finished third in the league, and they got knocked out in the FA Cup and League Cup in the fourth round. And in the UEFA Cup, which is basically now known as the Europa League, they were eliminated in the first round. So it was not a good season for them. The league was different back then. There was no top four. It's only first and second that get Champions League. So they missed out on Champions League and they finished third, meaning they had to be going back into the UEFA Cup first round. But next season, in the 97-98 season, would really put a statement on Arsene Wenger's name. In the 1997-98 season for Arsenal, they done the cup double, winning the Premier League and the FA Cup, beating Newcastle in the final, making a very, very good season for Arsenal. At the time, Arsenal went 7 years without a Premier League trophy, or as it was called, the First Division. They've won the league title, and regarding the FA Cup, they went 5 years without winning the FA Cup. So that was a really, really good season for Arsenal. And that really cemented that Arsene Wenger is pretty much going to be very good manager in Premier League, and one of the best at the time, competing with Alex Ferguson. And the following seasons, 3 seasons, haven't been great. Losing out to Man United on a couple of league titles. That semi-final in the 99 FA Cup final, missing a penalty in 90th minutes and went on to lose in extra time. 2001, then went on to lose the FA Cup final to Liverpool, Michael Owen scoring twice. And it was a bit bleak. It was a bit bleak at times at Arsenal. But history was going to repeat itself again. In the 2001-2002 season, history repeated itself as Arsenal completed the double yet again, with a more exciting team, you can say. They've added the likes of Thierry Henry, Sol Campbell from arch-rival Spurs, Robert Pires, Freddie Ljungberg, Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Vieira, Emmanuel Petit, a young Ashley Cole, who I think was there, Martin Keough, David Seaman, who was edging retirement, and you can say that was a really, really exciting team. who competed at the highest level alongside Man United, who were at the time one of the best teams in the world. So to do the cup double, again repeating itself 4 years later, was very impressive by Arsenal. And next up, probably Europe. They might compete for Europe, but the story does not end there. In the following season, they lost the title to Man United on the final day. They went the whole season without winning a trophy, which is pretty poor by their standards from what happened the season previous. But the most historic moment of Arsenal's history was to begin the following season. In the 2003-2004 season, Arsenal went on to win the league without losing a game. 26 wins, 12 draws, 0 defeats. And because of that, they won a very special gold trophy, which has only been given to Arsenal. They were only the first Premier League team to go unbeaten in a single season, and only the second team in English history in the top flight, top division, that has went a season unbeaten. One of the most fantastic historic days at Arsenal, the moments that every Arsenal fan at the time will never forget, and probably cements Arsene Wenger as one of their greatest managers ever. What an achievement that they've done. But the most important thing is that was their last ever Premier League trophy right now. By the end of this season, they'll be going 20 years without winning a Premier League. For their standards, is absolutely disgusting. Which is starting to get to the Arsene Wenger downfall. But we're not quite there yet. The next year, Arsenal did not win the league because of Jose Mourinho's Chelsea. They beat Man United on penalties to win the FA Cup and to get it again. But the following season, they also made even more history. Well, sort of. In the 2005-2006 season, Arsenal reached the Champions League final, beating the likes of Juventus and Real Madrid to get there, but ultimately lost to Barcelona in the final. And it was also their first ever Champions League final, and it was also the last ever season at Highbury, their old ground, before starting a new era at the Emirates, where Sir Peter Hillwood, the chairman at the time, said they were going to compete with the likes of Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, which has come back to haunt them, and this has started the downfall of Arsene Wenger. Let's get the facts right. Arsenal have not won the league since 2004. Arsenal have never been in a Champions League final since 2006, and it's the only time they've ever been there. And they got to a Champions League semi-final in 2009, and they got knocked out to Man United with a younger squad, which is better than the current Arsenal squad. And they had to sell their best players, like Thierry Henry, Cesc Fabregas, Samir Nasri, Gael Clichy also left. It was a total rebuild from the star-studded squad from the Invincibles to around the 2010 mark at Arsenal. It was a total rebuild. And in 2011, Arsene Wenger said this quote, "Top 4 is a trophy." Many fans were angered by this statement because, for one, Arsenal did not win a league title for 7 years, and they've not won a trophy in 6 years. Rough estimates. So they had to go back and winning trophies. So we're gonna just fast forward until 2014. They went on to beat Hull in the FA Cup final in extra time to claim their first trophy in 9 years. The year after, they beat Aston Villa 4-0 to win the FA Cup for record time again. And in the 2016-17 season, things started to change for the worse. Fans started to protest about Arsene Wenger being Arsenal manager. They wanted him to go, they did not want him to sign a contract, and things got to the point where planes were flying over the games, literally telling Wenger to get out of the club. And it was en masse. Loads of banners every single game around that last couple of years that Wenger was there, telling Wenger to go. And every match fan cam on like Arsenal fan TV, Twitter, everywhere. If Arsenal lose, they should literally force Wenger to go and verbally abuse him, like get out of the club. And it was so toxic. And to make matters worse, Arsenal finished in the lowest league position under Wenger in 5th, meaning they're missing out on Champions League football for the first time. And also in that season, they went on to win the FA Cup, which was Arsene Wenger's final proper trophy as Arsenal manager. And a few days later, he signed a 2-year extension as Arsenal until 2019, leaving many fans furious. But there were also some supporters of Wenger who wanted him to stay. They also wanted him to stay because they trust him. They still think he has credit in the bank for what he's done in the past, but also he can change for the future and he can do well, which I really understand that. So, and then in 2018, the following year, Arsene Wenger decides to leave Arsenal after spending 22 years there. And this brought many sadness towards Arsenal fans. Literally, like, saying thank you for the memories. Oh, we're so sad that you're going. And hold up, are you the same fans who literally wanted Wenger to go? Like, protesting en masse, verbally abusing him, and you're flip-flopping and saying that you're so sad that he's gone. What? Oh, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but at the end, his final game, he got a proper send-off. He waved goodbyes to the Arsenal fans, and which ended the Arsene Wenger reign. And let me just tell you this, I'm going to give both sides to Wenger in and Wenger out. I'm going to start off with Wenger in. So, my reason for being a Wenger in is because at the time he had limited resources. The club had to sell off players because of the stadium, so there was a transition period. The players he brought in, right, they were capable to gain top 4, but not for the trophy because Arsenal didn't really have the tools to get into title races anymore. And he also has very good tactical awareness. He's all because of the history he has, and he can still produce magic, which is some fans' reason why Arsene Wenger deserved to stay, because he has history and he can win trophies, and plus they like him as a person. He's a very nice man. People who met him have already described him as a very nice man. So that's why some fans wanted him to stay. On the other hand, why fans wanted him to go They felt like he was finished at the level. They went, at the time, 12, 13, 14 years without winning the league. The longest drought in their history, I think. Currently, on the current form right now, that is the longest drought in their history without winning the league. The results we produced were just horrible. 10-2 on aggregate to Bayern Munich, just literally topped it off. The squad wasn't great. The attitude problems. And it was not all Wenger. It was not all Wenger's fault. You got to take a look at the time at Stan Kroenke, the Arsenal majority owner at the time, but he's now full owner of Arsenal. And why he did not give back Wenger the players he wants, and also the resources. But you gotta say at Wenger, he did agree on the ticket prices. He did have a say on transfers, and also have one of the highest ticket prices in Europe, which is so ridiculous. And I can understand fans' frustration and why they want to change. They want a new manager, but a new manager doesn't change overnight. The players were awful. Lots of Mustafi and Granit Xhaka before he became good at under Arteta, and Aaron Ramsey and Nacho Monreal, Kieran Gibbs, Debussy, Koscielny, Cech, Ospina. The only decent ones were Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil on their day, but they never performed every single game. It really became a problem for Arsenal. And personally, I believe that Wenger did not step down. I thought he got sacked. I feel like the fans' frustration had got them to the point where Arsenal decided to sack Arsene Wenger. So, now I'm going to give you my evaluation of this and where I stay with this. So, if I was an Arsenal fan 5-6 years ago, I would be saying that yes, Arsenal need to change, Wenger should go. But I wouldn't be protesting, I wouldn't be holding up banners, because that leads to fights. There were fights in the grounds, you got to remember, with Wenger in and Wenger out. So, I will not be involved. If I was an Arsenal fan, which I'm not, I feel like there should be change. But I also got to remember the things he's done in the past. And why he's a good manager. He will deliver. And also, he can probably get Arsenal back to where they belong. And that's what I'm just in the middle. I'm really in the middle. I absolutely do not agree with the protesting towards Wenger. I felt like he was the scapegoat, as it should have been towards the likes of Kroenke, Chips Keswick, Ivan Gazidis, a lot of them. That's where the protest should have gone, not just towards Wenger. Wenger was not the only problem, it was the board as well. But you got to remember, Arsenal, since Arsene Wenger has left, they've mainly under Arteta, they missed out on Europe and only last season qualified for the Champions League and missed out on the title by 5 points. And if that was under Wenger, he would be bombarded with abuse, relentless abuse. And it's just sad. It's just so sad that the way he was ousted out and the abuse he got. Bear in mind, the players and the board were just, they let him down as well. It's not just Wenger. And the process would just, I absolutely disagree with the protests. So I'm really in the middle on this. I agree with why fans wanted him to go, but I also agree why fans wanted him to stay. and I absolutely do not agree with the process. So that's why I stick with this. Now I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Really, really want to know your guys' thoughts on Arsene Wenger, Wenger in, Wenger out debate. I know it's years and years ago, but it's for new fans. This is what the Wenger in, Wenger out debate was all about. And yeah, that's it for today. I put lots of hard work into making this video, literally making a script about this, like the first bit, and also in favour of it, I would like you guys to like the video, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell as well, and share the video as well. It is a banger. I tell you, tell your friends this video is very good. It's a banger, and you guys will be informed of it. So I'm done. That's all I got to say. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you for the next one. Next story time, should I say. I'm out.